November the 12th, the Committee of the Whole. Roll call, please.
Here.
Here.
Here. Here. Here. Here. Here.
Here.
We have a quorum. The discussion items, first, there is one addition to the agenda, the encroachment agreement, which Clara will discuss. It was on the previous agenda, it got pulled, and so it's back on again today with a little bit more refinement. Oh, it's a different one? Oh, not the same one. Okay, right. It's not. It's a new one. So the first item on the agenda is public improvement 9774 change order. Call upon Kyle Meyer, the recommendation to the council to approve change order number 1 for PI 9774, the Otter Tail Valley Rail Crossing Project, in the amount of $8,226.71, and changing the substantial and final completion dates. And these are the crossings that we're obviously going to get done this year, but obviously have not. So with that, over to Kyle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council. Today we have official change order to go through. The change order, what it has in it is the reason for the change in cost on this project is during the when the agencies were out there doing work on the utility work, we found that there was concrete underneath the asphalt street. So this is another instance where, again, instead of doing the typical mill with the asphalt, we have to remove the concrete under the street to replace it. So what we've done is on Mill Street, that area where the concrete is, that block, we'll take that out, remove that pavement, and then put the street back. And then we did look at the design piece on Cascade. To offset some of that, we adjusted the street work on Cascade to do a mill and overlay instead of a complete reconstruct. So with that, the cost there is that $8,226. That would be additional for the concrete removal. And then the reason for changing the completion date is that we did not get our permit from the railroad for the work that needed to be done out there. So we had to get a construction permit from railroad. That came late. So we sat down with Grant and talked about do we want to start this project that late in the year, open up the streets and try and get this done. This was late October, and we made the decision that we did not want to do that. So that's why we're changing the completion date to start this project next spring and finish it next summer.
And just to be clear, this is MnDOT funded.
This is MnDOT funding, yep.
Yeah. So it's not the 8,000 isn't impacting the city as such.
Correct. Correct. Grant Cooper is here from Bolton and Mink if there's any questions.
Would somebody care to make that motion and
I can do that.
it, and then we can discuss it? Laurel?
Second.
Thank you, Jim. So any questions of Kyle?
I have one. I have one, Your Honor.
Sorry, just go ahead, sorry.
Are we comfortable with just doing mill and overlay on Cascade, or is that a bad decision at this point?
No, we did go and look at the street to make sure that, that made sense. So I'm comfortable with that type of improvement.
Any other questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, same sign. Hearing none. The motion is approved. Is everybody good with that being on the consent agenda? It's fairly routine. Yep. The second item is a MnDOT limited use permit. Again, Kyle Meyer, recommendation to the council to enter limited use permit number 5601-0059 with MnDOT to use the right-of-way on Trunk Highway 210 for planters along the bridge. And again, over to Kyle.
Okay, so this is the interchange project on the interstate that'll be completed next year. As part of some of the preliminary work on the project, there was discussions with the city on beautification, and one of those things that the city asked to be a part of was putting planters along the bridge as a beautification to the project. So with that, MnDOT has a agreement for us that we have to maintain those planters for the next 10 years, and so that's what this agreement is for.
Somebody, again, care to make that motion?
I'll make.
Thank you, Jim. Would somebody care to second it?
A second.
Thank you, Scott. Any discussion points? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, same sign. Hearing none, the motion is approved. And we put the planters on the consent agenda?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Right, the next item on the agenda is an update to council from the Human Rights Commission. And maybe Clara would like to introduce your person.
I would love to. Good morning, council members. I'm the staff liaison for the Human Rights Commission, which meets, has a standing meeting monthly on the second Thursday of the month at noon. And I have with us this morning Nancy South. She's been a member of the commission since the beginning of 2025. She had served on it previously in years past, so she does have background with it, but she's going to give us a little update this morning about what they've been up to.
All right. Good morning, Nancy.
Good morning. I'm short. Good morning, Mayor, and good morning, council members. I will give just a brief update about what the Human Rights Commission is. It's a city board that works for the protection of human rights for all people and helps empower people to realize their rights through education, advocacy, and community engagement. Local human rights commissions are empowered by the state of Minnesota to pass on human rights concerns to the Minnesota Department of Human Rights. Commission members for 2025 were Mike Trudeau. He was our chair, but has since retired and has moved up north. So, and Donald Mayo was our vice chair and now is our acting chair. Amy Mayo, myself, Leah Oswald, and Christine Franson, who has resigned. The commission held 7 official meetings in 2025, February, March, May, June, July, August, and September. The October meeting did not have a quorum and was informal. Due to member schedules, the commission is on break until January when regular meetings will resume, and we look forward to welcoming new mayor-appointed members in 2026. Themes and accomplishments for 2025. On May 21st, 25, the Commission formally adopted a Fergus-specific Declaration of Human Rights to guide their work. The document is available to review on our webpage. And we also presented to the public as part of Welcoming Week activities. In partnership with the Public Arts Commission, the Human Rights Commission created a large interactive display at the Fergus Falls Library as part of Welcoming Week. The installation was up from September 12th through the 21st and included a visual presentation of the local decoration, an interactive map, and options for reflection and written feedback. Respondents shared why they chose Fergus Falls, highlighting things like access to health care, job relocation, retirement transitions, starting a family or entering a new chapter in their life, or moving closer to be with family. The Human Rights also worked with the city's summer communications intern to update the Commission's webpage with a goal of highlighting human rights-related observations as Juneteenth, Indigenous people, and offering educational resource. The Human Rights Commission also adopted a new event sponsorship policy to clarify how and when the Commission may get involved in the community events. Sponsorship must be approved by the whole group. All events must be accessible to the public, support our mission, and the support is in kind only. Preferably, members will act as volunteers and social capital networking. Looking ahead to 2026, the Commission is excited to welcome new members, continue to build an educational presence online and in person, find partnerships in the community, and be a resource for human rights concerns.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions of Nancy this morning?
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is an update from the Park and Rec Commission. And, Guy. I couldn't see him, so maybe Guy can give a update and an introduction.
Yep, thank you, Your Honor. Lynn Wolters has been on the Park and Rec Board for, I think, 2 terms, and in her 3rd. Okay, so she's a passionate member, has been the chair for a little while now, and she will just come and give you an update. Thank you. Welcome, Lynn.
Thank you. Excuse me. Good morning. Good morning, Mayor Hicks.
Good morning. How are you?
And council members.
Hello.
As Len said, I'm Lynn Wolters, Chair of the Park and Recreation Board. I'm here this morning to give a short update on what the Park and Rec Board does and some of the park project accomplishments over the last couple of years. Please feel free to ask questions as they come up. The Park and Rec Board consists of 5 members, and they are Tammy Revering, Tasha Wolfs, Gail Jacobson, Rachel Nelson, and myself. We have a good mix of members, some with young children and others with more life history, and all with varied backgrounds. This experience brings in different perspectives and input to our monthly meetings. At each meeting, at least one of us typically has a question, input, or feedback provided by someone in the community. The following is a list of some of the park project accomplishments over the last few years. One of the things you will notice from this list is the variety of activities and amenities provided to our community for people of all ages and interests. Starting with the archery range at Day Lagoon Park. Higgins Dog Park, which was initiated and led by Tammy Revering even before she was a board member. Bicycle Playground, which is still a work in progress. Cross-country ski trails at the Kirkbride. Expansion of disc golf at Roosevelt Park. Expansion of Ferber Park mountain bike trails. BMX track moved to Day Lagoon Park. Pickleball courts at Broadway Park. The splash pad downtown. And the Aquatic Center, which had a successful first season, both financially and with attendance and satisfaction by the community. Of course, there's a lot of other items that we have discussed and changes made, but that's just a kind of a comprehensive list of some of the bigger projects. The board also reviews and discusses the recreational activities provided through the city, as well as sponsorship for these activities and programs. Sponsorship is a program which funds benches, flower pots, which I heard discussion about this morning, banners, the pool, and team activities. The board reviews numbers for the recreational activities such as softball, baseball, golf, kids camp, strength training, as well as others. We also review park and picnic reservation numbers from one year to the next. The board provides input and thoughts on how numbers could be enhanced and other changes that could be made to programs to increase numbers of participants. So I just want to follow up with a piece of information. I had a friend this summer visit from Mitchell, South Dakota. I showed her around our community, the downtown parks, swimming pool, splash pad, prairie wetlands, and she made the comment that Mitchell, which is the home of the Corn Palace, could really learn a thing or two about community and amenities from Fergus Falls. So, do you have any questions?
Any questions of Lynn? I think it's interesting, the broad spectrum of how many things we touch.
Yes.
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 I think, as you say, if you then start breaking down kind of like the sports and how many actual sport activities there are,
And when you look at the parks, they're not all geared towards children. They're not all geared towards adults. It's the varied activities that people have interest in. The Dark Dog Park has been very successful. If you drive by that, it's busy all the time. It's amazing. So
My one thing that it would be good to try to accomplish is, I think on the corner of the splash pad over here, we should do a mini dog park. Because there are a lot of downtown residents that do have little critters, and they have a tendency to poop, and I think it would be nice if we could focus them into an area where they could go. If we made something that was specific for them, and that's maybe something that we can throw a challenge out there to some of the service groups to help kind of fund it, so they could have a little plaque with a
True.
dog picture or a cat
it's a good
picture.
thing to put on the list of
Yeah,
accomplishments or looking.
yeah.
I just got a question. Thanks for your efforts. And maybe Guy could answer this too. I think it was maybe a couple years ago, there was a constituent in Ward 3 that brought up a signage on Broadway Park by the playground. Any suspicious activity and things like that. It had the police number on there, which was the long number, and not the 911. Is there any new signs that can go out into parks to basically make it real easy for somebody to identify, hey, if there's something wrong, call this, you think that people know this, but, we're talking maybe younger kids, and it was a concern of his. And he thought it should be marked a little bit better because it had the, I think, 736 number back then. And I don't know if that ever got changed or not. I should have checked that, but I haven't. Up until, I think, a year ago, it hadn't been. So if there was something, because I think what it would do is bring awareness, suspicious activity or what have you in case of emergency, a nice sign at these parks, especially where there's playground equipment. I think that would be a good idea. And I know that constituent would be very happy to see that. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. Signage is another point that we discuss about how to, market and advertise the different parks. The archery range is really a hidden gem, and we've added that to the De Lagoon Park sign now, and just making things more available and making people more aware of it.
I think the pickleball court has been a hit. Some. Scott?
Hi, and thanks for being here today. I live up at Lake Alice, so Lake Alice is an area that I see a
That's a
lot of
hidden gem
activity with the
also.
park and rec. Yeah.
Hidden in clear sight.
Yep. And it ends up getting a lot of attention because people come from all over to walk around there, and there's activities like the Lake Region Run and the Lake Alice 100 and things that happen there that are kind of city events, and that's great. There's been over the years different things that have happened around the lake that apparently have volunteer involvement. Where either you've been recruited, volunteers have been recruited to help with it or done it, or it's just kind of happened. And I think of installations of trees, for example. There have been some trees that have been put in memory of somebody. There's a bench that was put in memory of somebody. There's other things around that appear, and I'm expecting that they come through the Park and Rec Department before they happen. It's not somebody just goes out there and does it. And it might be helpful for the public to know just what the process is on that. If they wanted to contribute either as a volunteer or towards something, whatever it might be, how to do that. And if that information was available on the website or in some available way, I think that would be helpful. I don't know, for example, recently this bench that appeared up on the northwest side, nice, very nice thing to have. I didn't know how that came to pass, and I just thought it might be helpful for people to understand how that happens.
And, I think people forget to go out to the website. I mean, that's one of the things that there's a lot of information out there. And when I was pulling this together, and even Visit Fergus Falls has a lot of information about our parks out there. But, how do we get people to hit the websites a little bit more? And we've been trying to utilize Facebook to provide information. But then adding the specifics on how you can do that, how you can sponsor a bench at some place in memory of someone. So yes, we talk about that, about how do we make people aware of what is going on and how was this funded. Not everything is city-funded, that there's donations provided, and that there are some things that are city-funded, like the pickleball courts, and so, making people aware that, this was a city-funded park, too. So, but good point about
Laurel?
how do we make people more aware?
Hi, a couple of things. First of all, thank you for being here. I've had someone reach out to me that suggested the idea of, in support of our food shelf, finding a place where we could put a grove of like apple trees, for example, that could be in a corner of a park that's not getting used, that fruit then could eventually support something like the food shelf or community outreach in some way. So that was a suggestion that was brought to me. I would think service clubs or something would maybe support that planting idea. Second of all, we've had good luck with the checkout of the passes at the library for the aquatic center. One thing that once the pickleball courts opened, for people that wanted to try it, that was suggested to me was, could we have checkout for equipment somewhere in town for maybe pickleball equipment or tennis or things like that, where people can try it before they buy in that way. And then the third thing is I've had a request from a couple about looking at shuffleboard somewhere in town, and we don't have that anywhere that I'm aware of, but maybe I'm wrong.
Andrew can address probably one of them, I think.
Yeah, to your second point, the library does actually check out equipment for tennis and pickleball.
Can we get that out to the public somehow? Because I don't know that people know that.
Yes, we will visit with Miguel about pushing that information out, and we can do it as well with the city.
Okay, thank you.
Can I mention something too, Your Honor?
Yep.
The sponsorship of any kind of thing is on the Park and Rec page of the city's website. So you can look on that page for team sponsorship banners, adopt a bench, downtown flower pots, adopt a park. So there's a lot of information on there. And everybody knows Pam, and she's involved with parks, so she gets the call usually.
Right. With that, thank you very much. Good discussion, and keep it up.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is Humane Society of Ottawa County contribution. A recommendation to the council to approve a contribution to the Humane Society capital campaign for their facility expansion. Obviously, there was a memorandum in the packet. We did have, obviously, the Humane Society come to make a similar presentation as we've had this morning. And obviously they focused on the remodel and expansion of the Humane Society and spoke about the fact that they obviously were building this project, and that they had at that time approximately a $200,000 shortfall. And we're asking the city, obviously, if we would care to make a contribution. I think certainly I remember Council Member Jim Fish said that we should look at something. Within the Tax Levy Committee, we have been meeting, and we do have obviously some unspent funds in the 2025 Economic Development Budget, and the suggestion to the council is that we use some of those funds to make obviously a one-time donation to the capital campaign project. As obviously mentioned during the time when they did visit, over 50% of the animals do come that enter the Humane Society do come from the city of Fergus Falls. But I would just like to clarify a couple of things. Obviously, there was a newspaper article that stated that the city only contributes 3.4% to the operating cost of the Humane Society. But I would remind people that this is not a city facility. This is a county facility. And the residents of Fergus Falls make up, in the 56537 zip code, about 25% of the county. And so therefore the contribution by obviously residents of Fergus Falls is not 3.4, but closer to 10%. And likewise, there are numerous city facilities that the rest of the county gets the opportunity to use, but don't necessarily financially contribute. So I think, just to clarify what was written in the newspaper, it's a sharing world. And, there are no, this is one line that probably should not be a hard line and state that the city does not fund the Humane Society. We also do make an annual contribution as well through tax levy. So with that, if somebody would care to make a motion in a second, then we can have discussion on it.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you,
I'll
Scott.
second it.
Thank you, Jim.
Do we have a dollar amount that is available?
We were suggesting 25,000.
Do we have more than that that's available?
We would have to look. I mean, there is slightly more, I think, in the economic development budget, but I can't remember the number off the top of my head, unless anybody else can. Scott?
I think that working with money that's been identified as available, this $25,000 is an appropriate amount for this current year, and I would suggest that the tax levy committee include some amount in next year. This project is ongoing, and we won't have the building finished in this year, and so as we look ahead, we can fund things a lot easier if we plan on it than if we just try to come up with something and ask Bill to figure out where to get the money. I think that it would be appropriate to look to next year's budget and include some amount in our budget for that. I'm not suggesting an amount, but I think that the tax levy committee could come up with something.
I know we had not included anything in the 2026 budget at this point.
I suppose a bigger piece of the question would be whether there ought to be an ongoing contribution. And I think that you had mentioned there is something already. And if we had a clarity on just what that is and what it could be either increased to or maintained as, I think that would be helpful when the time comes to approve our next year's budget.
We could do that, Scott. Any other questions? Good.
However, on the initial amount that we give is $12,000. That was increased about 2 years ago from 6,200 or so, just about doubled. And that is pertaining to animal intakes and surrenders and the things that happen within the city of Fergus Falls. So that's more operations driven as opposed to capital. I do think that as we go forward, we should look at that amount on an annual basis and incrementally move that with inflation and some of those things. Because, like the mayor mentioned, majority of the animals that come through the door are Fergus Falls animals, so we want to be good partners. But I think it's probably more appropriate to monitor that number as opposed to trying to chase capital dollars going forward.
Sure. Just as the process of it, are the individual animals and the activities build out and then it just accumulates to be that $6,000 number or $12,000 number, or is there a flat amount that's an annual chunk, pay it quarterly, pay it annually, or whatever?
Yeah, we're paying them quarterly, the $3,000, so it's $12,000 flat. I don't know if that covers their costs or not, it's just how we've negotiated it. So we can plan on a number and they can plan from a budget perspective on what they're gonna get every year as opposed to per animal fees.
Yeah, so we're not having to write an invoice every time someone has to deal with a lost dog.
Right.
Right, okay.
And I believe there is a fee for recovery of an animal. If an animal gets picked up and taken to the Humane Society, and then you want to go and retrieve your animal, then you pay then obviously a fee to the Humane Society to get your animal back, which is above and beyond the 12,000. Laura?
My understanding is the economic development budget is not a carryover budget, so this money is not a carryover that would be taken from economic development next year. Is that accurate? And is that the same for the engineering budget, which probably also has money sitting in it?
Your Honor, Councilmember Kilby, it's accurate that it doesn't carry over specifically to economic development, but any unspent funds go into the general fund
Okay.
as
As
cash,
general, right.
basically, right?
Okay.
So, cash balance. And the engineering fund, we did have some severance as employees as
Okay.
we made transitions. And so I don't think that there's a ton of unspent dollars.
In that one for this year. Okay. Thank you.
Mike?
Your Honor, I appreciate you bringing this up, and I really appreciate you talking about the Daily Journal article, because that spurred a lot of conversation in our community about the Humane Society. I don't think there's anybody, I'm absolutely positive there's nobody on this council or city staff that want to do anything harmful to the Humane Society. We want to see them succeed. The thing is we, and I don't know if you have an accurate number, we're at 200,000 shortfall. 25,000 is, it's not going to do that much for the Humane Society. So what I started thinking about is, how can we, as a city council, how can we do something that may be even better or more for that Humane Society? And what I started to think about was, if they have a $200,000 gap, why don't we try to step in as a city to help them with that gap? Now, that doesn't mean that you take $200,000 of taxpayer money, because I'll get a lot of phone calls tomorrow if we do that, and not happy phone calls either. Some may be, but what I'm looking at is, we've talked a lot recently about our BDFF fund. We have $1 million in a fund to help out entities in the community, and I don't know if that has the ability to help out a 501c3 like the Humane Society, but when I look at that, I look at wanting to help the Humane Society with a $200,000 gap loan, and not done at a bank rate of 7-8%. If they come up short, and I don't know their funding and all their things, but if they come up short when the contractor calls and says, hey, I need $200,000 to fill this gap, they're going to either probably have to go to a bank at 7%, 6.5% to 8%. Why, as a city, why do we not step in and help them, even with something as low as a 0 to 1% rate, to say, hey, today we will stop the problem that you have. We will gap fund this. You've met your fundraising goal. Go ahead then, over the course of the next 2, 3, 5 years, and fundraise more and pay that back to the city. That, to me, as a business person that looks at financing, that's one of the greatest gifts that I could achieve from the city. I really could. And I think the 25,000, yeah, it looks good for the day, but we're still short a considerable amount of money that we could fix. So I would open it up to the council to discuss it if they think it's appropriate. I want to help them in a big way today that makes a big difference for their facility going forward, and take the pressure off of them, so they don't have to worry.
Thank you, Councilmember Munson. I did actually talk to the Humane Society yesterday, after talking to Councilmember Layton about that, and they basically obviously they've figured out how they're going to fund that gap already, and so they are not currently interested in taking a loan. They're obviously, since they were here, that 200,000 is now a lesser number, and they believe that they obviously can find a means to fund it, and especially if we give them, obviously, a $25,000 donation.
Did they explain how they wanted to fund it?
They have certain funds that they can use short term to do that within their own society.
They just had another letter go out for the people that gave before, and I personally gave more this time around. So
They're also believing that at this time of
there'll be
year
others do the same thing.
that they're going to collect. Typically, historically they've seen, obviously, contribution increases in the last kind of quarter of the year, where people are sorting out their taxes and can make the contributions.
Did the city want to do the same, as far as wait a little bit and see what comes in?
I think obviously they came to ask us. I think we have the funds personally, and I think it would be a good community support to a program that, at the end of the day, the city utilizes a lot.
Yeah, and I agree with that too. A lot of us have pets, A lot of us have animals, and a lot of us has already given money to the Humane Society.
Yep.
So, I just don't want the people who don't have pets and things get upset about it. And I know that it's kind of a fine line, but I know that we need to have the Humane Society, and they do a great job. So, thank you.
I think on that point, Al, I think you're right. Obviously, there is a public safety portion to this. At the end of the day, collectively, somebody sees a stray, the PD gets involved. They end up taking that animal to the Humane Society. So we're not kind of, as Bill says about garbage. We're never going to get out of the pet kind of retrieval portion. So we would probably then end up, if the Humane Society wasn't in Fergus Falls, we would end up with some city personnel being involved, picking up animals and taking them to a shelter somewhere else. So I think it provides to the city and the residents a good service. Not
I agree with
not
this
dissimilar to
safety
kind of
issue.
like we look at the PD and the fire department.
Because I know when Councilmember Mortensen was campaigning, he was
Picking up strays.
no, he was held hostage by a rather large dog, and I got the phone call, and the police got the phone call, so we all came running.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was an interesting event.
Yeah.
Your Honor, I just think that, we've received quite a few emails and few phone calls and people stopping at my shop, and nobody says no to it. It's all been encouraging to help them out, so I'm all in favor of this.
All right. With that, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Everybody good with putting it on the consent agenda?
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. The final item of the agenda today is an encroachment agreement. I will call upon Clara Beck.
Hello again, Mayor and Council. This is an encroachment agreement that's kind of cleaning up an existing situation that we have on Beach Street. 702 Beach is the address of the property. It's the old candy bar shop, which is now a residential home zoned residentially. The current owners are looking to sell the home. I think they have a buyer at the table, but one of the pieces that popped up during title and all of that paperwork that was going on was the fact that the existing home does encroach into city right-of-way, and it has done so for many years. So this is cleaning up this existing nonconformity, if you will. So the agreement in front of you, what you'll see on Monday will have some changes. We've had some back and forth with the current agents for the home and then the buyers who have seen this draft already and have made some comments about what they would feel most comfortable with. So the section that you'll see changes to is the insurance section, number 7. And instead of general liability insurance, that will be changed to personal liability insurance. The section on workers' comp is going to be removed entirely. And then language toward the end of it will change just regarding the number of times or the triggering factors that would require the new homeowners to submit personal policies to the city. It will change from being anytime there's a change to upon request. So those are the changes that you'll see on Monday. Otherwise, the rest of the agreement will stand. I think Mr. Herman, who's the current homeowner, noticed somewhere that it says landlord rather than landowner, so we'll make that change as well. Happy to take any
Would
questions.
somebody care to make that motion?
I'll offer that.
Thank you, Laurel.
Second.
Thank you, Al. Any questions?
A question?
Scott?
As far as the long-term potential effect of this easement, if the city ever wants to do anything, and then with the street there, let's say they needed to widen it to put in a turn lane or whatever it would be, to what degree would the city not be able to do anything if this encroachment agreement exists?
Yeah, there will be no changes to the encroachment agreement without discussion between both parties and changes made in writing. So that would certainly be a discussion that would have to be held. I mean, I personally don't see a future where we're widening that street at all, but I don't know if Kyle
No,
has any.
we widened it
Yeah.
quite a
It-
few
it
years ago.
was
We went through this
widened,
whole
so-
situation again years ago with them, and it was, we kind of resolved to this. It was drawn out. But yeah, it's been widened already. It was, if you remember, the road is probably, I don't know, 15 feet narrower than it was. Now it's, the sidewalk kind of goes around their house, but it's been dealt with when we widened it then,
Yeah.
so.
But the city would not be able to take any action without addressing that with the homeowners.
And did you say something about that there was obviously a shop? Or is there something about the zoning or
It's, it's a residential use currently, and it is zoned residentially, so any change in use would require rezoning.
right? Any other questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
One
go
thing.
Jim.
Mr. Herman, do you agree with what we're doing here?
Yes, that's the changes I wanted made, and the question about widening the street that already has a turning lane in the street outside the light.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, same sign. The motion is approved. Everybody good with the consent agenda?
Yep.
Mm.
Your Honor, can I ask one question of Len while we're here? I've gotten some phone calls regarding the alleys that we're maintaining and not paving this year that are kind of rough right now. Is there anything happening with them before snowfall? Because there's some big potholes behind the center and things like that.
Short answer, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we've added some gravel, and as things settle, we'll be adding more. We've put in some crushed asphalt behind some businesses, but yes, we're gonna try to get them in as good a shape as we can before winter, so that when spring comes, they're,
Okay.
I don't know.
I drove one this
They're
morning
not
just
gonna
to
be
see
great,
what
but-
I was, I mean, and you're up, down, I mean, there's bumps.
Yeah.
It's a public safety, slowing people down.
They
There you
just
go.
did some utility work back there again, too, just last week, I think it
That's-
was. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
It got worse.
it's
Part of
been
the
pretty
struggle.
hard to, I'm sure, maintain that when you've got different utility companies coming at a different schedule.
Right, yeah. The fiber that started getting put in last week, we had no clue was gonna happen, and they tore everything back up, so.
Okay.
One more question for Guy. The Cascade and Lincoln lights aren't blinking. Is there a reason for that?
That intersection wasn't gonna be part of
It wasn't? I
the
didn't-
project, just
Okay.
Court and Mill.
Okay.
That, I kind of like the flashing lights downtown.
I do too.
It's quicker to go through the intersections.
For sure.
I mean,
Only heard positive.
Yeah,
the-
I'm just kind of curious on that.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously it was under announcements. That's the first one, and I would concur that I've had positive results. People particularly like that they don't have to wait that period of time for the lights to pass.
As I get older, I need every minute I can
Yes,
get to my destination.
Yeah. So with that, other announcements. Obviously, the ongoing pilot project. Monday evening is council. November 17th, council meeting. Obviously, November 27th, city offices and facilities will be closed to observation of Thanksgiving. 28th, most city offices and facilities will be closed. Liquor store will be open. Garbage and recycling, normally picked up on Thursday and Friday, will be picked up on Wednesday, the 26th. And with that, we are
The work session that was scheduled for Monday has been postponed.
Right. So,
It'll be board authority before.
okay, so there will be a port
Your
authority.
Honor, Dr. Mortensen, would you give us a highlight of your event yesterday, please?
Would that be better on Monday evening? Sure. I mean, not to cut you off, but I think more viewership is on a Monday than the committee of the whole.
Appreciate it, Mr. Layton, and thank you, Your Honor. We'll talk about it Monday, but it was a great event for the city and veterans in our city.
Then thank you. With that, we are adjourned.